Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Soul Food Podcast, a safe space where we talk about God, theology, the Bible, and the Christian life in general. I'm your host, Noma. Last time, I taught on what the signs of the second coming of Jesus are, according to Matthew 24, from verse 9 to 13, namely, Christian persecution, the global hatred for Christians for following Jesus, the great falling away, also known as apostasy, the rise of many false prophets and deception of many, sin being rampant, the love of many growing cold, and the necessity for Christian endurance. Today, I will be continuing with this series, but based on Jesus' words written in Matthew 24 from verse 14 to 22, which says, "And the good news about the kingdom will be preached throughout the whole world, so that all nations will hear it, and then the end will come. The day is coming when you will see what Daniel the prophet spoke about, the sacrilegious object that causes desecration standing in the holy place. Reader, pay attention. Then those in Judea must flee to the hills. A person out on the deck of a roof must not go down into the house to pack. A person out in the field must not return even to get a coat. How terrible it will be for pregnant women and for nursing mothers in those days. And pray that your flight will not be in the winter or on the Sabbath, for there will be greater anguish than at any time since the world began. In fact, unless that time of calamity is shortened, not a single person will survive. But it will be shortened for the sake of God's chosen ones." From those 8 verses, the first sign that Jesus cites is the gospel message being preached worldwide for all nations to hear it. Now, there's no telling when this will be achieved. However, what we do know is that with the rise of technology, we have more technologically advanced ways and platforms to reach more people with the gospel. For example, we have various Bible apps with several versions and translations of the Holy Bible available at the click of your finger. We now have the ability to share the gospel through different social media platforms as well, on the World Wide Web, and even through podcasting, which are all accessible in many countries all over the world. Only the Lord knows the exact day and time when every corner of the earth would have heard his good news. The next sign that Jesus speaks about is the sacrilegious object that causes desecration standing in the holy place, which was first prophesied by prophet Daniel in Daniel chapter 12, verse 11. For greater context, I suggest you read the whole chapter because it discusses the vision that God gave Daniel regarding the time of the end, or as we popularly say, the end times. But Jesus goes on to list some of the horrific things that will be experienced by those still alive during this period known as the end times, from verse 16 to 22. The general gist of it is that it will be marked by such extreme high levels of hardship, coupled with excruciating suffering and pain like never before. And that's saying something given the distress and devastation that we've seen with historic events such as the Great Depression, World War I and II, the Bosnian War, the Biafran War, the outbreak of diseases like the bubonic plague, Ebola, Lassa fever, and most recently, COVID-19. I think we can all agree that these events and many others that were similar came with high levels of mental, emotional, and physical suffering for anyone who lived through them. The current cost of living crisis has even pushed a lot of people into debt, poverty, and survival mode. Yet, in this chapter of Matthew, Jesus makes it clear that the level of pain and suffering that will be experienced in these end times will be astronomical and worse than anything we have ever experienced collectively as the human race before. At the same time, he reassures us that it will never happen again, but most importantly, this time period will be cut short. Otherwise, not a single person will survive. Right there, the Lord explicitly tells us that there will be a high death toll as a result of the things that people are going to experience in these end times. The one reason that Jesus gives for this time of calamity being shortened is for the sake of God's chosen ones. So essentially, God will shorten the end times timeline for our sake because we belong to Christ. And that right there, for me, saints, is encouraging. Join me next time, where I will continue with teaching on the signs of the second coming of Jesus, according to Matthew 24, from verse 23 to 35. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and share as you listen. Follow me on Instagram at the_soul_food_podcast to stay connected. Until next time, peace and blessings.